we'll get into it in a minute, but I want to give you guys a couple of quick wins on do's and don'ts that will help you out a ton. The first is just simple automations. Like even starting small, monthly investments to your Roth. If you guys are US based, or you could live out of the US, your Roth is something you have access to if you're a 1099 for sure. You can put up to about $7K a year. So that's about $580 a month. If you don't have that on recurring, that's probably one of the easiest quick wins that you could get is just filling up your Roth. Like so simple, having it automated. In the bottom of this doc, I'll actually have links to like Robinhood and a couple of the other like financial tools that I use. And you guys can go take a look and see if that resonates. But one of the practices I had is just putting that in my budget every month as a bill. And the way I think of investing and saving is it's a bill that I need to pay each month. And it's actually the most important bill I need to pay each month, like beyond rent, beyond everything. Like those are my future. Does that kind of make sense, guys? And the second piece is like savings. We'll talk about percentages here in a bit, but like the reason I said simple automations is this is just a way to create quick wins and create consistency. One of the biggest issues I see is this mindset. Once I make more, then I can start saving and investing. Once I hit 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, then I'll be able to invest. And that is a broken mindset. That's the same thing as the fat person saying, once I lose the weight, then I'll go to the gym. Once I lose the weight, then I'll go to the gym. It's like, no, you fucking won't. Stop lying to yourself. Right. And so I was lying to myself back even, I think, Tyler, to relate to you, like I was in college, and because I came from a family where my parents paid for my college, I had access to an American Express. Like I abdicated responsibility for finance because I felt like I was taken care of and like I didn't have consequences. And so the story in my mind back then was like, I don't need to invest. I don't need to save. But like looking back, that's cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just like pushing off that responsibility. Like I'm good. I'm complacent. I'm young. I'm fine. I'm doing fine now, don't get me wrong, but I really do wish I would have taken that responsibility sooner. So just want to acknowledge you for being here, given you are younger in your career and just starting in sales. I think that's freaking huge. So that's just automations, whether it's, like I said, automating your Roth. You can do that with Robinhood, automating your savings. I use SoFi, which I'll talk about as my personal account in a bit. I love it because it has like sexy money buckets. So I have like my travel fund. I have my I call it my freedom fund. I don't like to call it people call it an emergency fund. I fucking hate that because it has a negative connotation. It's like setting up this intention of I'm going to have an emergency. Like, hell no, I don't want that intention. But I have these things automated so that a fixed amount is going each month, no matter what. And I see it as a bill. And then the piece beyond that is automating monthly payments. One of my buddies just wrecked this completely. His credit score dropped like 200 points in a day because he missed student loans for a few months and they just weren't on automated payments. He had the money. He literally had the cash. So I think one action item that I'll add to the end of this worksheet is just to do a quick audit and check to make sure any credit cards, any loans that you guys have are on auto pay. If they are not, get that shit dialed because that is a huge low hanging fruit that you can take on. The other piece right here is creating standards around how you guys use bonuses. When you're in sales, you're going to come into big money at points. And if you're not used to coming into big money, you have no fucking clue what to do with it. So rather than waiting until that happens to actually be like, oh, what do I do with it? I create rules proactively and standards around how do I operate. I like a rule of thirds, 33% to savings. And I would write this down, 33% to savings, 33% to investment, and then 33% to whatever the fuck I want. Because when big bonuses come into my life, if I don't use some of it to go splurge, then I still have a feeling if I'm broke. And when we spend on ourselves, it is actually a good thing. It's teaching our mind, it's teaching our body, it's teaching our nervous system that we are abundant, that like we can actually do the shit that we want. And that actually gets us to go out there and attract more abundance. I'd love to hear some thoughts on that piece. Gore, where's Gore at? Are you here? I saw him on the comment. Spending is more than okay. It's fucking great. It's necessary and something that we shouldn't feel tight about. Once we set our rules and we're operating in those boundaries, then we're good to go. The don'ts, I thought this was funny. Make money boring, right? It should feel like literally watching paint dry. Like at this point, I'm not excited about it as far as like the systems. I'm excited about the abundance it's creating, but I'm not excited about the day-to-day. Like it's literally boring. It's mainly automated. Like I can just ignore it and set back. Some of us, our nervous systems want to have some stress and we want to be able to manage it. But once the systems are in place, you should be able to just kind of chill. On the don'ts, this was like this destroyed me. Based off highs and lows of sales, guys, I would change my budgeting and my behaviors every single month. I didn't really have a budget. It was just whatever I made, I spent. So if I made more, I spent more. And if I made less, I spent less. Dan, you're on commission only, right? Yeah. Have you experienced that, or what's been your experience on the big months? And like, just curious your perspective on that, because I know you're in real estate. You also sell as a closer on a real estate offer last time I heard. Mm-hmm. That's a super common feeling that people have, is like guilt around spending. It's super common. And if you don't have, I don't even like to call it a budget, it's just a spending plan and like boundaries and being able to set yourself up to win proactively. Once that's in place, like you don't have to feel bad about it. And you could be like, fuck yeah, I get to spend this. And it's like totally within my constraints. And I avoided budgeting really hard, guys. My ex actually triggered the shit out of me. So I'll tell you guys this story. On one of our first dates, she's an incredible budgeter, and I was the exact opposite. I was in this cycle of justifying. Now I make a ton, like I don't need to budget. Fuck that. And we ate dinner, and I saw her take the receipt and put it into a spreadsheet. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking, I was like, wait, what did you just do? And like, I wanted to vomit. I was like, this is insane. You track like every single expense. Now, I don't think you guys need to go that far, but I think it is a good experiment to do it for a month if you guys have never, ever done it in your life, to actually have an awareness. And I did do it. I took that challenge. I actually went on all cash for a month. I froze my credit cards. I literally put them in a freezer. I put them in a Tupperware. I put water in them. I froze them, and I only had debit and cash for a month. Because I grew up around credit cards and my mom just like, here's a credit card, go spend. I didn't get connected to spending, and I didn't have any awareness. And what I found in that is I actually didn't really end up feeling, there was like a 2 or 3 days where it felt weird. And once I got over the hump, like I actually spent less and still did all the shit I wanted to do. Because I was just slightly more conscious. And on the back end of this, guys, I'll give you some tools around how to budget, and I'll put that in the document that I'm going to send over so you guys can actually test it and have a plan. And that's where we can set ourselves up to win, is with that fixed expense ratio that I talked about earlier. Because if you don't know that, then we're kind of shooting in the dark around, do we have buffer room? Do we have playroom? We don't have like clear numbers, essentially. Does that make sense, Dan? Appreciate you sharing and just like being real. I think that feeling of like guilt of like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway, is like super common. Yeah, I appreciate you being real with me. That's why we were saying in the beginning, like the way you feel about money often has very little to do with how much you have currently. There's people who have a shit ton of cash and still freak out about blueberries. They're like, these are $8 organic blueberries. And they're freaking the fuck out. And it comes down to usually, and I think like a good inquiry, a good internal inquiry is around like, where does that come from? What did you see from your parents? Because 99% of the time, it's just shit we saw from our family. It's beliefs that they had that have been imprinted onto us that we're still holding on to, even though things have changed. Let's see what this was. Ooh, freezing the credit card, Chloe. I love that. We can talk about credit cards as well. I think that's a really good challenge. If you actually struggle with credit cards or you use credit cards, I call it a credit card cleanse. Like, I think it is a healthy thing to get away from them just for a bit. If you are used to using them all the time and you've never not used them, you know, we're sold the idea, go get points. And don't get me wrong, points are dope. I love my points. But the flip side of that is just being actually connected and seeing the money disappear out of your account rather than just racking up a balance and paying it once a month keeps you way more conscious. Let's see what this is. I love this comment right here. Good for you, Chloe. I'm proud of you. Yes, I have rewards hacks. So that's like stage 2. Once you get over that and you actually are down with credit cards and you're in a good, healthy place, then we can definitely work on it. I run let's see. I'll question a $5 to $10 purchase, run it by ChatGPT, and research if it is value for money before buying. Interesting. That is so cool. Okay. Wow. Wild. Holy shit. We got 2 for 2. Anyone else? ChatGPT purchases? I haven't done it. I'm a little bit more of the wild man because I came from the other side. The way my parents spent was crazy. You guys should start a club. We're going to do the ChatGPT spending club. and we'll make a custom GPT for it, and it'll be fire. Well, I'm glad that you guys are here, because the flip side of this is we actually get a bit of a plan going. And like something I could see for you, Dan, like literally would be like, it's as old school as like the Dave Ramsey method, which is like pulling out an envelope. And I actually did it because the way that I would overspend was on food mainly. And I just had that was like the one variable expense for me every month that I would just fucking go crazy, bro. I could spend $2,000 a month on food, like dead ass. And so what I did is got the cash out for the month and put it in an envelope that said food. I was like, I'm allowed to spend that. I can do whatever the fuck I want with it, with food. We're good. That was like humbling. And it was kind of embarrassing for me to actually do that. But that was something that I did to be like, okay, let me destigmatize it. Let me actually face this fear head on. Let me get in control. And I felt good because I didn't have to have any of that guilt, because the decision around what I was going to spend was already made. The reason the guilt comes up is because you're making a reactive decision in the moment rather than having proactive rules that are already in place and boundaries that you're operating from. So I want to give you guys, before we go into details of like, okay, how do we budget? What are the beliefs? The simplest thing I could give you guys right here, and Dan, I think you'll like this, is just basic rules. 50, and you're actually below a lot of this based off what you just said, dude. This would be a winning formula. And if you can do better than this, then you're extra fucking winning. So 50 to 60% for fixed cost. Fixed costs are the things that you absolutely have to pay every single month. 10% for investments, 5 to 10% for savings, and then 20 to 35%, whatever the fuck you want. So 50-ish. And to be clear, this is of your take-home income, right? Because as self-employed people, we get paid, let's say you get paid $10,000 a month, you probably only get to keep like 7 of that because of taxes. It could be a lower amount, a higher amount that you keep, but I just prefer to be like, hey, I'm putting money aside for taxes. If you guys could just take this from today and go look at your numbers and see that, that would be a huge win, just to get totally real with yourself. Are you guys familiar with fixed costs? Have you looked at that before, heard of that, anyone? Or is it just me? Cool. For me, I'm looking at basically rent, insurance, subscriptions, and I'm saying what percentage of these things that I have to pay every single month are going to be what percentage of those are within my income and my actual take home? And the thing that changed for me around budgeting because of the commission only is I used to make my budget based off of my average per month. And at some point I was like, dude, my income varies every month. Like that actually kind of fucks me up. So I made my budget based off about 20% less of what my average was over the last 6 to 12 months. So that if I had a shitty month, I wasn't in panic and I had savings aside and I could just basically clean up the rest. So Dan, I think for you, man, that would be hugely helpful, is to look at what's been your average over the last year and then make a budget based off of about 20% less of what your average has actually been. So you know that you have, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're totally good. How does that land for you? Like, how does that resonate for you? Let me see here. Solid. Sweet. Is this helpful for you guys? I would say just drop a 1 in the chat if it's resonating. 2, if you're like, get me out of here, Mason. I hate your face. Get me off this thing. I can't talk about money any longer. Oh my God. Let me see here. Sweet. Let's go. Sophie, good to see you. I didn't see that you popped in. That's awesome. Welcome. So in terms of the steps, the things that I like to focus on is money mindset and beliefs first, that foundational budget second, taxes third, accounts fourth, debt, saving, and retirement would be the last 3. In terms of the mindset, we already started to talk into it, but there's this concept called like the financial thermostat, which really hit home for me because I realized that I was falling into this trap in sales, which is we all have an unconscious financial thermostat. I call it a panic number, which is, what is the number in your account where you begin to fucking panic? Either in your savings. Some people, it's a panic number around how much they made that month. Some people, it's a panic number around how much savings they have or investment. There is some number, a threshold at which they go, holy fuck, I need to do some shit and I need to like evaluate my situation. For me, I know that it's usually pegged to income. Like if I make below 10 grand a month, I'm freaking the fuck out. I would have a total freaking panic attack. And the name of the game is to actually over time increase this thermostat, because if you don't, just like a thermostat, if it gets too hot, you cool off. If it gets too cold, you heat up. And you basically end up hovering at the same income level no matter what. And I was like, why does this happen where people actually hit these ceilings? And I think the reason it happens, guys, is because of these unconscious beliefs that actually keep us stuck. And the three that I identify that I feel like are the biggest culprits that I've seen across like myself, and I've seen across like dozens of other sales reps or people who are in the online game, is I'm not good with money or numbers. They believe I need to grind to make more. And it's that scarcity mindset that Gore talked about earlier. Number two is actually the biggest one for me personally, guys, which is I need to grind and burn myself out to make more. And the reason that kept me stuck is because I always believed I had to work harder to make more money. And the thought of that put me in cognitive dissonance. I'm like, I don't want to work harder always to have to make more money. That sounds like shit. The whole point I got into sales, into entrepreneurship, was to create freedom. And so the way I look at it now is I need to create better systems to make more money. I need to become more efficient to make more money rather than I need to put in more time, energy, and effort, because the paradigm I had the first 3, 4, 5 years of sales was just take more calls. And don't get me wrong, like that will help you make more money. And the flip side of that is, are you happy doing it? Yes or no? For me, I wasn't. I was fucking miserable. So if you can rewire that and say, how can I have better systems? How can I be more efficient? Then we become a problem solver and we can actually go out there and do it. I'd love to get some takeaways real quick, guys. Sophie, good to see you. Lauren, Tyler, Gore, if you're able to pop on, I'd love to hear from you, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on those months. If you have a, sorry, go ahead. Exactly. And having it decided ahead of time. And to be super clear, that 33, 33, 33, that rule of thirds is like, let's say you have a massive fucking month, like there's a windfall. It's all that extra money that you're not used to having, or that's beyond your average, that I would basically be like, well, dude, I don't need that normally. Like I'm used to budgeting within this amount. What am I doing with that extra bonus? Or maybe I close a coaching client or something that came in that I don't expect, just so it's predetermined and you can feel good in your nervous system, because you're not having to make in the moment decisions. They're pre-made rules that you just know you follow. Yeah, shoot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So like just as like a random number. So like let's say you're making 12 grand a month consistently over the last few years, then you might make your budget based off of 9K per month. And that's still okay. You got to take off money for taxes. So I'll actually go through an example here of that and we can talk about it. But that's when you have variable income. It just helps have this extra buffer that's already built in proactively to deal with the variable income, rather than being like, oh my God, I'm a victim, I'm on variable income. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You knew you were signing up for that. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, that's your fault. If you're in this game and you're feeling that way, it's your fault. Because I needed someone to tell me that earlier on, and it would have been in a much better position much quicker. So just to give like a tangible example, let's say you're making 10K a month, right? 30%, I always automatically, and you guys, 30% is a general rule, but you might want to look at your country or where you're at, depending on what taxes are. But I'm in California, I'm in the US, so taxes are pretty high. I automatically take 30% of my income, whatever hits my account, and it goes into an account labeled tax savings in SoFi. There's an account in SoFi that says tax savings. It gets 3.8% interest. And immediately when shit hits my account, I move 30% there and I don't think about it. And the reason for me, 30% is actually more than I need. which is cool because it's creating a buffer. And when it comes tax time, I can actually take some of that extra and lump sum invest. I can use that rule of thirds, 33% to investment, 33% to savings, 33% to let's go fucking party and go have a trip. Let's go to Thailand. Let's do whatever the fuck we want. That's an example of a time where I still use that rule around a lump sum. Like I extra saved on taxes. I got my tax bill paid. I'm like, fuck, dude, I oversaved. This is great. Does that make sense, Lauren? Yeah. And usually once I teach you some of these tricks, like especially for the guys and girls in here who are US based, there are ways to probably pay less than that, usually quite a bit less. So as an example, if you make 10K a month on average, you look at the last 6 months, I take the 30% off the top. So I'm making 7K take home. 7K is mine. My fixed expenses, like if I'm keeping them at 50 to 60%, they should be a max at 4,200. If I really wanted to be conservative and like essentially knock it out, I might act as if my top line is a little less at 9 or 8K a month, and then take 30, like basically take that number of a smaller number around what is my quote base salary. The mindset that I got into around it was like, hey, if I was an employee, I would have a base salary, right? So I said, in my mind, I defined my base salary as a number that was slightly smaller than what I'm actually earning on average to feel comfortable and feel like, hey, I can actually plan and take control of my finances. I literally called it base and bonus for myself every single month. I was like, okay, my base is 100K a year. Bonus is everything after that for me based off what I earn currently. My base is 100K a year. So my expenses, my planning, my budgeting is within that 8,300 per month of top line. And then you got to take off money for taxes. So it ends up being about 6K or so of take home that I know is mine every single month, no matter fucking what. And I actually have those numbers clear of like what I have for take home. Is that helpful for you guys? I see some heads nodding. Sophie, is that helpful? Curious what you're taking away, because you seem like I see some heads nodding, which is good. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, this is my base pay. And then if I have one of those big months, the stuff that's beyond that base pay, that rule of thirds, it's getting saved, invested so that I actually have a decent amount of savings, at least 3 to 6 months of like my fixed expenses. And that way, if like I don't make sales, I don't need to be in scarcity. Because like a lot of sales reps stay in scarcity and it's their own fucking fault. It's just the truth, right? It's their own fault if they didn't manage it and they've been in the game for a while. Like, because my belief is that even if you're not making a lot, there's no excuse ever to not invest and save. Like, there's no valid excuse. I mean, yes, there's going to be some life circumstances, but in like 99% of the time, like you can find a way to make it happen. And if you have that mindset, then you put yourself in a much better position to actually navigate those conversations with your prospects financially as well. Systems totally create safety. It's just boundaries and rules, right, Chloe? It's like for your nervous system, for you, your internal game, so you feel super good. We'll come back to the 2 offers. So save that for the end, Dan, and we'll take a look at it in just a bit. Okay. In terms of taxes, I think we got this clear. Get your 30% set aside. One of the things I want to talk about was like around saving on taxes. If you guys are US based, Sophie, I think you're in Mexico as well, right? So you might want to look into, if you don't have like some sort of LLC, I'm not sure what the tax entities are there, but you could go into Claude or ChatGPT and look this up to see if there's ways you could save. General rule of thumb, if you're below 10K per month, it might not make sense to open what's called an S Corp. If you are above 10K per month, it probably would. And the reason being, there are fees associated with it. There is a little more complication that goes into opening this, but the whole purpose of it is to save you some taxes. So let's say you make 100K a year. If you are not an S Corp, 15% of that is going to self-employment taxes right away. If you are an S Corp, what you can do is actually take what they call a reasonable salary. And what it means to you is that 15% would only get applied to, let's say, half of it. So that 15% fee that you have to take off of all of your income, you can reduce the amount that it actually gets hit to when you have that S Corp. And so for me, that saves me anywhere from like 10 to 20K a year on taxes just from that 15%, not having to pay it on the full amount that I earn. And beyond that, it starts to open up some new opportunities for retirement accounts that can actually reduce your taxes even further. I'll talk about those, but have any of you guys actually done S Corp or LLC, or any of you have LLCs? I'm just curious. Lauren, you have an LLC? Who has an LLC in here? Actually, that would be good. Dr. Chloe, sweet. Looking into LLC. Gore's got an LLC. Yeah. Once you guys get into it, and there are some accounts for retirement that are still available for you guys as LLC or sole prop that I think most people don't even realize exist before opening what's called an S Corp, which I'll go into here in a minute, which I just wish people would have told me, because you could save even more on fucking taxes as like, there's basically retirement accounts that are available to 1099s that people just don't talk about, which is psycho. Everyone in this game is focused on make more, but they don't talk about any of these like foundations that are necessary to actually manage it and keep it. Gave my accountant a heart attack. Yeah, Dan is the clusterfuck of the room here. He's like, I'm UK, I'm in Mexico, but I'm a US bank account. And then he goes to the accountant and he says, figure it out. The S Corp, I'd say look at it. If you guys are below the 10K per month, you might not make sense. Still ask your accountant and just see what they think. And if you're above 10K per month, for sure, take a look at it. In terms of accounts, guys, if you're US based, I really love SoFi for personal and Chase for business. In terms of SoFi, I'll drop a link at the bottom of this doc if you guys want to take a look at it, because it has money, like it has buckets in it, like literally sub accounts. So I have like 6 or 7 different savings accounts, all labeled and targeted. Maybe you guys have to do a different bank, but having buckets energetically felt really good for me to be like, cool, I'm filling up this bucket towards taxes. This bucket's going towards my travel. And I could actually start to see those and compartmentalize a little bit. It also has like a much higher interest rate. It's like 3.8% rather than like 0.0 fucking nothing if you go to a normal bank. So that's a couple extra grand a year possibly in your account just from doing this alone. Lauren, do you know who you bank with for your personal checking right now? Yeah, so this alone would be like, this is worth 1 to 2K per year extra to you just for switching over. like literally, I just made you $1,000 this year just from whatever's in your tax savings, having that sit there on high interest. Because with taxes, you guys can either pay quarterly to the government. Personally, fuck that. I pay once a year. There's a little bit of a fee for waiting and paying once a year, but I'd rather have the money sitting in my high interest savings account making me money. Because I get like 2 to 3K a year just from my high interest savings account, at least. So it's a couple $100 a month that's just like, boom, deposit, sitting there. And I'm waiting until it's tax time to the very last fucking second to pay the tax man, because I want to hold on to it as long as possible and earn interest before I send it off and say, here you go. Is that helpful, guys? I think that's a good thing to know, is basically looking for, you can just Google it. I'll put this right here. I would just Google high APY savings accounts, because the typical savings account has like less than 1%. It's like less than 0.5%. You can get up to 4% these days usually. So that's like literally 10x the interest rate. And it seems small, but it makes a huge difference. The other piece is debt. This was something I had to wrestle with a lot in the high ticket game because I invested a shit ton in coaches. I had student loans from college previous, and I basically had to figure out, how do I navigate debt? How do I leverage it? Is it good? Is it bad? And what are the traps around it? I think if you're in this game, investing in coaching is a must, but I also think it gets abused and people use it as a dopamine hit to feel like they're making progress rather than actually doing the work required to change. So I'm just going to emphasize that again. I think a lot of people investing in coaching is great. I've invested over 100K in coaching personally. And I know from my own experience and others, and those program buyers, the people who just buy it for the next hit, it can be a cycle where they're actually avoiding the work needed to make meaningful change in their life, and they're just taking on more debt, but they're not actually solving problems. So maybe that applies to you guys, maybe it doesn't, but that is one common trap I see. Like, definitely get a coach, get a mentor to grow, but be very intentional and actually follow through with it. Does that make sense, guys? I've invested in programs for the dopamine hit. I dropped 18K on a program once and I didn't even use it. I've definitely dropped quite a bit. I grounded myself for a bit for coaching. Tell me more. What does that mean? Yeah. 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 I think in our you're right. In our industry, it's like there is the narrative of like go get coaching, and that's true. And you got to ask yourself, am I actually using it? Am I committed right now, or am I just trying to avoid what I actually need to do to change that I already know I need to do? Super common avoidant mechanism. So love it. In terms of debt, my rule is around the 7% rule. I look at the interest rate. Is it above 7%? Is it below 7%? Is it above 7%? Is it below 7%? Reason being, usually in the market, you can make 7% or more if you're investing it. So if it's below 7%, I'm not trying to prioritize it unless it's like I don't usually use debt for stupid shit. I usually would use it for programs, self-investment, anything that's actually very meaningful to me. That was like the only time I would use debt. I don't really use it to go get like toys or to buy stupid shit. I've only really used it for like personal development mainly. Because I always found if I actually did the work and I wasn't avoiding, I was implementing, I wasn't buying out of FOMO, I did get an ROI on every single program that I actually used. Whether it was the connections that I got, whether it was the skills, the income, it did lead to a positive ROI in the end. And if any of you guys have been on that credit card hamster wheel, the cleanse 90 days, freeze that shit, give it a test, send me a photo. I would fucking love to see that photo. And it gives me a giggle. Because I did this in May of last year because I was like, dude, what the fuck? Why do I still have some credit card debt after all these years making good money? I was like, that's my fault. So I was coming home. I was like, fuck this shit, froze them all. And within 90 days, I just destroyed it all. I went in full beast mode. I was like, fuck all this. And then just getting off that hamster wheel. We talked about savings, but generally 5 to 10% of take-home pay is a good rule of thumb. And with retirement and investing, at least 10% of take-home pay towards investing, just as like a bare minimum standard to be like, dude, I'm winning. Any of you guys have Roth IRAs already? Have any of you guys opened a Roth IRA? I would drop in a chat a 1 if you have one, a 2 if you don't have one. And I know, Sophie, it might not apply, but a 1 if you do have one, 2 if you don't. Lauren, I'll send you some links later for that for sure on Robinhood. Tyler's got one. I know Sophie might not be able to in Mexico. Do they have some? Have you looked into retirement accounts out there? Do they have anything similar? Cool. Nice. Gore, is Gore still in here? Let me check really quick. Gore, do you have a retirement account, bro? Or am I gonna have to come find you? Don't make me find you. I'm coming out to Florida, dude. He might be off, but I'll find him later. He's a good dude. Reason being, it's just like one of the lowest hanging fruit. Yes, he does. Fuck yeah. Number 1, let's go. Are you maxing it? Start maxing that shit. I try to. Good man. If you're not maxing it, setting a recurring amount that's monthly, even if you're not, just to make it a habit and not be like, oh, I invest sometimes and I don't invest sometimes. Just like having that recurring automation. I invest always, even if it's a smaller amount, mentally is a win. Yeah, if you can do the lump sum, that's great too. Some people just knock it all out at once. Whatever works for you. All I really care is that you do it. I do like the automation because it makes me feel like, hey, I'm making progress every month. And there's something psychologically about that of being like, hey, I'm putting a little chip into it every month feels good for me. So it just depends on you. Love that. The more advanced accounts beyond that I can help you guys look into is one is called a SEP and one is called a solo 401k. If you guys end up opening up an S Corp, we can go to solo 401k. So if any of you guys end up opening an S Corp, ask me about this account. Either one of these allow you to basically put like $70K a year aside of tax advantage money. That's the limit that can be into those. If you guys were like a W-2 employee, the max that you could put a year would be like 24K, 25, 30 max. So we actually, as self-employed individuals, do have some accounts that are like just as good, if not better, but people just don't realize it, which is wild. Absolutely wild to me. And Gore, these are good questions. I'm down for the Q&A. I will come back to that in just a minute on accounts, okay? So let's save that one and bring it back and we'll definitely go into it. So since most of you guys don't actually have a S Corp yet, and it sounds like some of you might do it, some of you don't, I'll save the solo 401k chat for another time. If you guys get to the point where you open an S Corp, just hit me up, let me know. I'll send you info on it. The one I would look into and ask your accountant about proactively, if you don't have an accountant, by the way, just let me know. I can help you with that too, is a SEP IRA. You can actually save a shit ton in taxes every year just by contributing to it, because it'll decrease your taxable income. If you put 10K into it, it'll be a 10K write-off and you're investing. So it's basically like if you were an employee, you get those advantages, but now you can get them again, even though you're self-employed. Does that make sense, guys? Is that helpful? Is this boring you to death? I know it's like all number shit. Tyler, sweet. Yeah, let me see in the chat. Helpful. I wish I knew about the SEP. Like literally my accountant 2 years ago was like, by the way, if you drop 15 grand in it right now, you could pay 5K less in taxes. I was like, why did you tell me now? Which then the second thought was like, that's my fault because I didn't do the research. Can't blame her. I can't take the responsibility off me. But looking into this ahead of time, as you guys start to really like go further in sales, is like either a SEP or a solo, and just looking for other accounts outside of just your Roth or your brokerage. These ones would be ones where you could start to save more on taxes. In terms of action steps that I put here for you guys, if you don't have a brokerage and a Roth already, open one up ASAP. I can help you with that. Robinhood, super simple. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is my favorite book when it comes to money mindset. And if you guys are at that point where you're around 10K per month and you're curious, I would definitely chat with an accountant about an S Corp and a solo 401k to see if it helps. For those of you who are international but from the US, I would Google, this is so for Dan and for Lauren, foreign earned income exclusion, and I'll send you guys this doc, and ask an accountant about it. If you spend more than like 350 days a year or something like that, or 330, I think it is, foreign earned income exclusion tax. If you spend more than like 330 days of the year outside the US, there's some opportunities possibly for you to save quite a bit on taxes as well. You just have to talk with your accountant ahead of time on it. And the last thing I put in here was just like a money bucket calculator for you guys. So if you want to start to take a look at your percentages and actually just map it out for yourself, you can put how much did I make? You can label all these, and then you just change the percentage here, and there's a formula that'll update the amount. So you guys can actually start to basically map out what are my expenses and really get like clarity on it and just have it in front of you and make it crystal clear and actually tangible. Yep, you guys are all going to get the replay of this. You're going to get the Notion doc in there. It's got the action items in there. And then it has the links to the affiliate links that I have as well. So if any of you guys decide you want to do SoFi, we each get like $50 or something like that. It's dope. And then if any of you guys sign up for Robinhood brokerage, we each get a free share of stock. Pretty dope. So that's also just like a cool little win in there. I really fucking love SoFi. If you guys have access to US accounts, it's by far my favorite checking account. The thing I didn't mention about SoFi is it actually has it, which is so fucking cool. It has a financial dashboard that links everything. So it links up all my investment accounts, all of my personal accounts, all of my credit cards, business and credit. Literally everything's in there, and there's a net worth tracker. So, and a spending tracker built into it. So I literally have like one page dashboard. Like Lauren, you probably saw the financial OS before. That thing was really confusing for me. This one is like idiot proof. So like you can't fuck it up. You just link up all your accounts. It does it for you. And I fucking love that shit. Like I'm a numbers dude. I deleted the belief that I'm bad at numbers. I'm like, I love numbers. They give me clarity. They get me going. I know I said I'd keep this to an hour. I'm going to go about 10 minutes, 15 minutes over the top. And I'd love to just do some Q&A with you guys and jam maybe on situations you're in, questions you have, credit cards, investing, savings, like anything that would be helpful for you. I know Gore had a question here. Let's see. Yeah, I love the clarity and I love numbers. That was like a belief that I installed. Gore was saying, what's a good account to open for freedom funds and money laying around? SoFi. Because SoFi has 3.8% interest. If you go look at, let's say, a bond or one of those like CDs, they're probably going to be almost the same interest rate, but you have to wait to pull them out and they're not as liquid. They're going to take more time to actually pull them out. It's going to be a pain in the ass. I would just open up a SoFi account, create a freedom fund in there, and just stack cash in it. Super simple. since you're US. SoFi is a bank. Yeah. I'll send it to you after. They're an online bank, so they don't have in-person branches, but they mail you a card. Everything's digital. I've used it internationally, no fees. The interface is beautiful, and it has like a built-in financial dashboard, so you can track everything in it as well. That's what I do personally. What questions do you guys have? And also, I mean, how was this for you? This is kind of something I did on a whim that I just felt like I really wanted to put it out for the world. Let's go. Yeah. My challenge for you guys would be to create your I don't even like the word budget. The word budget has a trigger for me because it feels limiting. It feels It feels like saying go get on a diet. I'm like, fuck you. I don't want to go on a diet. That's what comes through. So like create your spending plan. Like what is your game plan? I think that would be an epic exercise for the three of you guys, just to like map it out and actually be real and put that into the money bucket calculator and look at what has been your average income over the last 6 to 12 months. Chop that number down a little bit so you know you're like safe, and roadmap it out. If you guys want to send it to me, I'm happy to send you some feedback on it as well. That would be freaking epic. Send me some photos of you guys doing the financial workshop. I'll repost it. What questions do you guys have? What would be helpful for you? Nice. Nice. Sweet, guys. Anything else that would be helpful? Any, like, I guess, clarifying questions, whether it's around automations, investing, saving, mindset, blueberries, spending on blueberries? Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you got that, because that I was in the same exact headspace and I was like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. Like there's a bunch of other people who are 1099 and they're stacking cash, they're making momentum. So like, what am I not doing? And it's simply like planning, create that base salary for yourself, guys. Like create what is my base that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, like I can pretty much earn that shit every month. And then everything after it's just gravy. Like don't get me wrong. Like there will be a bit of a ripping off the Band-Aid of actually facing the numbers and looking at it. And it probably will suck a little bit at first, but the flip side is like 3-6 months down the line, a year down the line, being like, holy shit, I'm close to like 100K liquid right now in my account. I don't give a shit. This is great. And you can have that breathing room and that space to feel like confident and clear and detached during sales interactions. That was like the biggest thing for me. Is like, I would be on calls with people be like, I don't need your money. And say that with conviction rather than as a sales tactic. And they would feel it. They would feel it in the gut. I'm like, dude, I don't need your money. What do you want to do? So sweet, guys. Well, stoked to have you in here. Base salary. Let's see what we got. Please. This is good. It depends on what you need, what you want to earn and what's meaningful to you. So like when you start to plan financial goals, you're not thinking just about what the top number is. You're thinking about after taxes, what am I actually taking home? Do you want to take home 10K or do you want to make 10K? So this is something I would ask people on a sales call too. If I'm asking them about their income goals, I'm like, oh, 10K take home, or what do you want? Yeah. So that's probably needs to be more around, let's say 13. Just to clarify it, right? And make it real. Because everyone says 10K a month because it's just like the goal. That's like the number in the industry, your first target if you're in sales. yeah, you can plan based off of that. And the cool thing is you guys can start planning like today, and it's a quick win where you can start to take control and actually do it. You don't have like developing sales skills and learning how to earn more takes time. Like building a business takes time, getting a budget in place. And actually it's something you can actually do immediately. It's something where you can have that quick dopamine, that reward, be like, fuck yeah, I'm actually doing this. I'm taking control. So stoked for you guys. I think that's pretty much all I had for you. I mean, I think we got it right on the hour, which is freaking perfect. I will send out an email with the Notion document. And I know Lauren wanted to look at the SoFi. I can send the affiliate links for it will be in it, so you guys get a bonus. Dan, did you have a US account, right? Do you have a high yield savings already? Oh. You're absolutely right. You might not be able to. That's impressive that you even got that first one. It's kind of scary. Yeah, I would definitely take a look at it, not to like scare you, but I had a buddy who avoided that for years, and at some point he did get a bill. So I would be proactive rather than reactive. It's fine, but proactive rather than like hoping, like get clarity on that and know it, rather than get caught off guard for sure. Yeah, I think that's just some wisdom there, because it's like you don't know if you have a ticking time bomb or not. And for me, that I don't know. I don't want to run anxious. I just want to feel exactly. So just go get the clarity. That way, you know for sure in either sense, like what's true. So glad you guys were able to hop on, and appreciate any feedback. I'm open to it. I'm glad it seemed like this was pretty helpful. We got some heads nodding. Figure out what your base salary is for you guys as self-employed individuals, and I'll send over the resources so you guys can take a look at that and get a little bit of a foundation. Okay. Awesome. See you guys on the next one. Peace. Later.